fun. Okay, it's not really fun. It's really boring, but we need to talk about it. So let's talk about this thing called recession. Now, recession, it does not mean a housing crisis. So the definition of a recession is a decline in the economy's GDP by consecutive 2 quarters. So that's it. It doesn't mean a housing crisis. So right now we're sitting at the end of our longest recovery period since our 2008 recession. So if we look back to 2007, the top economists were predicting the recession happening in 2008. And what the top factor that they said for the recession was going to be housing and mortgage, because they're giving out houses and mortgages like those little flyers from Vegas with the girls on them. If you don't know what I'm talking about, then good, because they're everywhere. They're all over the floor and it's gross. Anyways, so we go through these cycles where we have a recession and then we have a recovery period and then a recession and so on and so forth. And it always happens like that. So we're in the longest recovery period. We're going to have a recession. So a lot of people that look at the market, they think, oh, we're going to have a recession, and they equate that to a housing crisis. And some buyers think like, oh, I'm going to wait out the market because, prices are going to drop kind of like they did in 2008, and then I can afford to get into a home, which isn't accurate. Okay, so if you look at this graph here, it shows the last 5 recessions, and out of those 5 recessions, there was only 2 times that the housing market took a negative dip in price, and that was in 1991, and in 1991 it was less than 2% of a dip, and then the 2008, which almost was 20%, which is crazy. But the other 3 recessions, the housing prices increased, and the reason is because people get panicked with the stock market and they take their money out and put it into housing. And so oftentimes we see a positive price in the housing. So if you're waiting to get into a house because you think that the houses are going to go down because of the recession, that's not always accurate. And by that graph, it shows you, for the most part, it doesn't happen that way. Housing prices go up. So if you're thinking about waiting, I wouldn't wait, because right now our interest rates are so low, your purchasing power is so much greater. So let me explain a little bit about purchasing power. Okay, I'm going to read some numbers to you for purchasing power. So let's say you want a monthly payment of $2,500 and you want to put $15,000 down for a 30-year term. Let's say your interest rate is like 4.5%. With taxes and homeowners insurance, you could afford a house at approximately $454,128. So $454,128 with a 4.5% interest rate. So let's take that same scenario, and let's say you want a $2,500 payment, but the interest rate is 3.5%, so 1 whole point lower than the other example. With the same 15% down and a 30-year term, you can afford a house $510,496. So that's a difference of $56,000 approximately. So all these numbers are relative to your situation. Basically, it's going to determine FICO and all these other scenarios. But roughly, you can see that the purchasing power from 4.5 to 3.5 is $56,000. That increases your purchasing power. And so right now, our interest rates are so good that it could increase your purchasing power $50,000 more than if you wait. And sometimes the feds will increase their interest rates so high that it'll knock you right out of a purchase price range, and you could lose out on a great house. So it might not be in your best interest to wait, is all I'm saying. All right, so let's go back to the recession and what that means. So remember how I said back in 2007, the economists predicted that we were going to have a recession, and the number one cause was going to be housing. So this time around, the top economists were surveyed, and the number one thing that they said that was going to cause our next recession was going to be trade policy, stock market correction, and geopolitical crisis. And do you want to know where the housing market stood on that list of reasons that we're going to have a recession? It was actually at number 9. I'll throw up a little graph here that shows you. It's actually not a graph, it's just a chart that shows you where the housing stood. So it was trade policy, stock market correction, and geopolitical crisis. So it goes to show you that this next recession, housing, it's way down to number 9. So it's not even on, I mean, I guess you could say that it's on the radar, but it's number 9. Whereas before, it was the number 1 reason. All right, so if you're wondering where I'm getting all my information, this is not an ad, but I am part of keepingcurrentmatters.com, and it's a great website. They send you emails, and it gives you all the current information from the current housing market and the situation that's happening with our current economy. So it's a really good website. Steve Harney is one of the top economists that runs the website, and he's a very respected economist, and we got to see him at the Tom Ferry event that I went to, and so it was a really good content. So if you want more information about it, or if you want to back up my claims, you can go to that website. They give a 14-day free trial, and you can download all the information. So it's basically going to tell you exactly what I just told you here. So check it out if you want more info. So honestly, guys, recession does not equal a housing crisis. We could actually go through a recession and not even know, because it's just decline in the GDP for 2 consecutive quarters. So we can have a slight decline for 2 consecutive quarters, and then they'll turn around and say, we had a recession, and everybody will say, what? Don't panic, because panicking makes it worse. But one last time, for the people in the cheap seats, a recession does not equal a housing crisis. So we could have seen positive increase in price because of the recession. So if you have any additional questions, or you have any comments, or you want to talk to me a little bit more about it, feel free to reach out to me. I'm on Instagram, I'm on Facebook, with the Fortune Group, Felicia Lopez. If you liked my very first YouTube video, I was super nervous, and as you can see, I'm not a professional. The volume is probably really bad. The lighting is not great. I don't have a hairstylist or a makeup person. If you liked my very first YouTube video, please like it, please subscribe. I'm gonna have some really fun information coming up. I'm going to do some interviews. I'm going to give you how-tos, how to get pre-qualified for a house, what to look for in a house, how to do a home inspection, just all the fun stuff when it comes to buying a house. So stay tuned, and I hope you like it. Thanks, guys.